I am Glenn Quartermain, Senior Sports Reporter with the West Australian. With me is Adrian Barrach of Channel 7 Perth Football Club and West Coast Eagles fame. We are brought to you by TABtouch. Got the touch? Download the TABtouch app today. Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Barra, I'm going to repeat something you said last week. I am fair dinkum as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take any more. The AFL comes out today and announces again more international entertainment for our grand final. Katy Perry, I love Katy Perry, mate. Any chance we can get some Australian acts at our grand final?
Whoa.
To headline.
Well, hang on. Just let me compose myself. I've come from a funeral and you've just unloaded.
Well,
so
I'm just sick of it. I love Kiss. I love Katy Perry. But just go and watch them. Don't watch them at the grand final. Let's open, please. Let's showcase our own Australian talent.
Yeah, I think, you know what? You're making a lot of sense, mate. You're making a lot of sense.
It gets me
Could we
angry
get what about Cold Chisel even? Everyone
they are having
in a footy sense.
50-year reunion tour, right? Let's get them. But what's wrong with Birds of Tokyo? What's wrong with Wolf Mother? What is wrong with... There's a million acts you
But
could...
it sort of dovetails 50-year celebration for Cold Chisel. How good would that be?
Love it.
Mate, K-San belting out. They could even have a crack at up there, Kazali or any of the
what
famous
you
songs.
do, Mike Brady does his superannuation song every year. We love that. That's part of it. You open every grand final with Paul Kelly standing on the bridge outside the MCG, playing his song, and then it segues into a bit of Mike Brady, and then the showcase is always Australian talent. Now, I understand the AFL wants the millions of eyeballs on it internationally, which what it promotes. Robbie Williams, Kiss, Katy Perry.
Yeah, Robbie Williams was pretty good.
I'm not saying they're not...
And he's taken it on board, hasn't he? He's following Carlton
jumpers,
now, posting, doing a lot of stuff. So that kind of worked, didn't it?
It did.
I don't know if Katy Perry, did you see the ad that she's done for it?
Not yet.
100,000 people at the MCG, Katy Perry singing the national anthem. I'd like to see that. Yeah, so maybe, maybe there's a little bit in there. I don't know.
No, there's not. We want Australian talent. Let's use the biggest event of the year to parade our own.
Yeah, okay.
Plenty of talent out there, mate. Anyway.
Well, if the Dockers are there, they got
I've got that off my chest.
Yeah, well, you've done that. And I must admit I wasn't prepared for it because I'd been farewelling Basil's dad and Basil Zempilas. Geez, he spoke well too, the big fella.
Well, our thoughts are with Basil and his family, of course.
96, his old man, Anthony. He told this amazing story. You'll love this because you love this sort of stuff. Just to sort of make you feel a bit better and so you can compose yourself.
Because I am upset.
I know, you're right, because you're a bit unwell as well, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah, so it's a combination of things that are happening.
You
think so?
Yeah. You think I'm
you've
just
never
not
started
angry?
like that before. Just prepare
You got me all
next time.
fired up with your mad as hell stuff the other week.
Yeah, well, important stuff like, But he told this story about his dad was born probably, 1928 or something. So, like around the Depression time, his dad was 2 and he got contracted double pneumonia and they basically sent him home. They lived in Northbridge, obviously, 96 Lake Street, I think it is, or one of the big streets.
Because there is a Zempilas Lane in Northbridge somewhere.
Yeah, and his dad was called Town Hall Tony because he used to run the fruit and veg shop in the town hall. Basically, for many years, it was a famous fruit and veg shop. I didn't know that. So that was big. He ended up being a bookie. But anyway, when he was 2, they sent him home because he was unwell and said, you'll have to go home and, say goodbye and, be with his family. And so they went to Gin and got leeches, dug up leeches and brought them back and put them on the young Anthony and bingo, Sweetski. Took the poison allegedly out of him.
Wonder why they don't use leeches anymore. It's effective, medieval, and
well, I tell you, it worked. I tell you what, I wouldn't be
20th century
discounting natural remedies, my friend. But anyway, by the by, so that was a story farewelling the G-man. But I've got something I've got to clarify too.
Yes.
Before you get into our main topic of the conversation, is I did a bit after you made that big statement about Jarrad Schofield and backing him in, caused a bit of consternation in circles.
Did it?
Footy circles.
Why?
Particularly my reaction.
Oh, did it? Where was the consternation from?
The bloke himself, I think,
okay.
and his mates, and all these Subi mates, because I basically said, we got handed that keys to the Ferrari when he took over Subi because it was, German, Waters, and then and Waterman, I think, and they'd won flags all the way through, those blokes. But it was pointed out to me in no uncertain terms that I think he took over when they were 8th.
He did.
Yeah, Scully.
I think I might have tried to make that
Yeah,
point.
yeah, and he did win 3 flags and 5 grand finals. But all that being aside, so I thought I'd research, just make sure. And I spoke to the great Andrew Lockyer.
Yes.
Remember Bargy Lockyer?
I bumped into Barge a couple of weeks ago, one of the great men in football.
He is, isn't he? And his son was at the club and he was at the club. And I said, what was Scoey like as a coach? And he said, mate, one of the most brilliant development coaches, like can really bring kids on, and one of the best match day coaches he's ever seen. So, mate,
what do the Eagles need right now?
Both of those things.
Both of those things. So, not saying there's other people out there who can't do it. Ash Hansen, look at them all. They're all highly credible people who've done their own great apprenticeships. I'm just saying, have a good look at this bloke, and he's in the seat. So,
who are the great development coaches? You know, who's a really good development coach.
Well, Sam Mitchell is one.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah, probably not getting him though. But
no, you're not getting him.
And I noticed
stay away, please.
We'll talk about Barrass in a moment, but the other bloke that people haven't spoken about, I've been a bit surprised. I can understand it because it probably is not as realistic as maybe some people would like, but he missed out on the job last time when Adam Simpson got it. And when he was coaching the WA, under 18s, he was super. He really brought, and there's guys like Chatty at bloody Swannies and those sort of guys that speak really highly of him as developing them.
Great development coach, high footy IQ. I'd love to see Suma more involved in footy. The question is, would he want to be a coach at AFL level? I'm not sure if he would. He's very successful in business. So
I reckon he'd like. Yeah, that's a good point. He's got a lot of carrots, and he's hands-on. He drives the forklifts and stuff like that. Like he's a role model for the workers down there. But I think he would love to coach West Coast, and
perhaps he gets involved somehow down the chain.
Yeah, and he's been quite critical of Simo. Simo's gone now. And I don't know where the role is, but he'd have to be the senior dude.
Do you think Nathan Buckley's any hope? And should he be the man in the role?
I don't. That would be more of a marketing, high profile. Yeah, I think.
Well, obviously he's a good coach.
Yeah,
clearly,
but he's not a development coach. I don't think.
Okay.
I think he'd probably admit that too. He's the finisher, isn't he?
Well, it's going to be. It's not going to get better in a hurry. Let me put it that way. So there's more pain ahead for the Eagles the next couple of years as they roll out these kids. There'll be a few list changes at the end of the year. So it is very much a development situation.
Well, what about the story about So there was 2 stories last night, wasn't there, before we get on to the main course. One was that Ryan Daniels is adamant that Tim English is a massive show to come to West Coast. It's out of the Bulldogs and West Coast for his signature.
You know what I reckon the truth is behind that one? They just need to show him a bit of love because he's pretty settled in Melbourne, so I hear. But he would like to look at it. But I think the Eagles have been pretty late to the party with the Tim English situation.
Sounds like they're coming now.
Okay, well,
and
good.
What do you think about that? They've got Matt Flynn that will return. They've struggled in the ruck otherwise.
I think he's a perfect fit for the Eagles. They need.
He's 27,
All Australian last year.
What about that?
That's all right. He's got plenty of footy left in him. And the best thing about Tim English is he does play like a midfielder, but he was a midfielder as a kid and then shot up. So he's got that really good balance as well. So I think it'd be a perfect fit.
I wonder what he's thinking. If he's 27, if he can't see the Eagles winning a flag in 3 to 5 years, he's finished. He'll be finished. So what's he thinking? He doesn't want to play in the flag? Or
he mightn't think that there's one there on offer at the Dogs.
Or is it money? Or is it trying to jack the Bulldogs up more?
Well, he is from WA. So there's also that. There's the lure of home.
Lifestyle. But the Bulldogs would have spent a lot of dough as well on some of those signings that they've done recently.
Tom Barrass, what's your gut feel on Tom? Because he's very settled here, a baby at home. I'm not sure I can see. I just can't see him moving, but the cackle tells me that there's a possibility.
Well, the Eagles, I don't know if they're shopping him around. I don't know. But I'd suggest that they're going to have to shop someone around, aren't they?
Who's got the best collateral in that team at the moment?
He's the only one, isn't he?
Well,
who else is there?
Well, the others, Yo's re-signed. Jack Darling doesn't really have any collateral, although I still say
you want a first rounder. You want a first rounder, don't you?
That's probably
you're not going to get that from Jack.
Tom Barrass, yeah.
Yeah, so it's McGovern's too old. Barrass is the only actual jewel that they've got to sell, haven't they?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying they're doing that, but
So apparently Hawthorn's into him as well now. So
yeah, well, Hawthorn, and they're saying that they can fit both Josh Battle and Barrass in there, Hawthorn. So, mate, imagine that. And that would be the final piece. And you know what the link is to Hawthorn, don't you?
I don't.
Sam Mitchell.
Yeah, of course, when he was here.
Yeah,
yes,
and
yes.
Daniel Pratt as well, I think. So,
Well, he did leave West Coast with a lot of admirers, Sam Mitchell. They liked the way he coached. So makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? It's that time of year.
and so I just looked at it. So I would say Sydney's the other contender.
Well,
Because
they need
a defender as well, don't they? So there's 3 clubs there: Bulldogs, Sydney, Hawthorn. The Hawthorn you'd probably get I think their pick's 8, so it'll be like 10 or something. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Sydney, it'll be the end of the first round, so it'll be like 18 or 19, unless they could manufacture something. And the Bulldogs, Liam Jones getting old, isn't he? So the Bulldogs, you're thinking 11-ish or part of the English deal. Maybe it's part of the English deal.
You could do that.
It's a trade. It becomes a trade. What do you reckon?
Yeah, that could be part of it.
Would you do it?
Would I, if I was who?
If you're the
The Eagles? Depends what you get back. He's so
English.
valuable.
If you got Tim English back.
So valuable in that back half, though. Jeremy McGovern's not around forever, but you are transitioning your list. You got Harry Edwards, who I think's a very good talent. So if you get the top tenner, you probably do. Yes, is the answer.
I think they've got to do something radical because they haven't got many picks, the Eagles, and probably that's going to be
their way in.
That is going to be their way in.
Speaking of the Eagles, Barra. So what do we got happening? And it's a really nice late segue from our opening.
All right,
opening
let's
discussion.
fire you back up again.
Yeah.
So you're pretty. I'm surprised how fired up you are about that.
No, I have been for ages. I just haven't jumped on this bandwagon. I've written columns about this.
You don't like Katy Perry? Or?
I love Katy Perry.
You do like you what? You love her?
Yeah, but I don't want international acts being showcased. We need to showcase Australian talent.
I was very surprised, I got to say. But it is a marketing tool, I suppose, isn't it?
I'm not surprised at all. They do it every year.
I'm surprised they picked Katy Perry, though.
Yeah.
I couldn't see any link to footy at all.
Well, you don't have to have a link. You can just...
Because like Robbie, he had some sporting links.
Oh.
he liked soccer. And
why is he walking... And by the way, don't be too kind. Yes, he's running around with a Carlton jumper, but he probably got plenty of coin to do so don't worry.
Well, isn't she launching a new album? So would we have to pay much? Maybe as a cheapie.
Oh, no, mate.
You reckon pay big money as well?
Oh, yeah. And what's happening with the AFL in the final round with the Eagles?
Yeah, good segue, mate.
I like this story. I like this story.
So I'm a member. So I get an email yesterday. So there's 100,000 of us, by the way, so I'm not special. And they say, listen, for the final round, we want to change the song. We're looking at what options there can be when the team runs out. And it used to be Joker and the Thief. Wolfmother. It was fantastic.
Great song.
That was awesome. Josh Cable, when he was working in Collingwood,
producer, yeah.
He'd come over here and he reckoned it was unbelievable, the atmosphere it created. And then they pivoted to No Fear by J.R. Jones. I didn't quite like that as much. I thought Joker and the Thief.
So their actual own theme song, no good?
Yeah.
It actually was, but now they've gone to the Birds of Tokyo version.
They've got 7 songs that they've said, choose from these, please. And I noticed the team song wasn't one of them.
Okay, there you go.
That might be a message. But mind you,
they're going to revisit
where the Eagles, West Coast Eagles, is not exactly, well, unless you've won the premiership. Fantastic.
Hang on, don't underestimate.
4 times we've sung it.
The fans want the original version back, just like they wanted the banner back, mate, because
for
the players have sung
the best of us.
All of that, yeah, exactly. So
spanking the
that'll
Vicks.
come back.
I love smacking the Vicks. As we were driving in here, I was listening to Carl Langdon was talking about it. He was getting right into it, and
Carl's he's never doesn't listen to music.
He doesn't.
He listens to Talkback. He's told me that. He said as a kid, he couldn't tell you the name of 3 AC/DC songs.
He works on that Talkback station, 6BR, so I suppose maybe that's...
He's all about Talkback.
Anay, they took calls, 922 118 882 or whatever it is. I don't even know what the number is. No, it's not that anymore, 3000 or something. Yeah. Anyway, so some lady rings up and she reckons the way the Eagles are going, they should play the Benny Hill theme song, So then it just disintegrates the whole conversation.
I remember that.
Then some bloke, I think Millsy pulled out Sound of Music. Like
The Hills Are Alive.
The Hills Are Alive, or the other one, all right, farewell,
oh, yeah.
Wiedersehen.
Well, how do you solve a problem like Maria?
How do you solve a problem like Jack Darling?
Exactly. There. Okay.
Anyway, and then someone said, "Oh no, give him some credit. Move into the modern era. Let's get an Aussie band, AC/DC, Highway to Hell."
Oh, jeez.
In the Derby, it could be a Highway to Hell.
But that's the Freo thing, is the Akadaka, because of course Bon Scott was.
Sorry, he was not allowed to use it, mate. You're right.
They are. No, they are. But Freo sort of claimed it.
And the Highway to Hell kind of suits. So anyway, so what happened then? In this letter from I think it was from Don, and they said, also there's songs played after people kick goals. You know what I mean? And like
Brisbane do it so well. Country Roads, Charlie Cameron. Yeah, they do it so well.
Do you reckon that's good, though?
I love it. Yeah, I do.
Jake Waterman has he's got 3 options. I'm too sexy by Right Said Fred's one of them. Yep. Imagine kicking and going, I'm too sexy.
It's good. I like it. It's good. Yeah.
Bullshit.
It is good. So what happens from here?
So 100,000 people vote.
Yep.
There's 7 options, and then I reckon about 20,000 people will write at the bottom of the form 8. Just do the friggin' anthem, do the team anthem that we love.
Yeah.
Bring back the original song.
Do you know Freo's been playing the Akadaka songs this year after goals, home games, because it's the 50th anniversary of them forming. So it's a bit of a, and so they've got that relationship with Bon Scott, Fremantle.
Bon Scott.
So more of that, please.
Have you been to his
the statues down near Fisherman's Wharf?
Yeah, but what about his grave?
No, I haven't.
So I've been at mate. I've gone to some funerals. I tell you, farewell, some great people, but 2 of them have been at Fremantle. One it's Toddy and Craig Yo, fantastic guy, Elliot, and Corey's dad. But so while I was there, I walked past and there's Bon Scott's grave. It's actually at Fremantle Cemetery. The G-Man. The statue's obviously down near the water, isn't it?
Fisherman's Wharf.
Yeah.
Hey, very interesting, Barrett. Let's get on to a very serious topic. The AFLPA, following on from the AFL Doctors Association this week, saying they want umpires to have the right to be able to send a player off for an HIA check, for a concussion check. Okay. Now I know that, by the way, I'll just say it from the outset, I'm totally in agreement with that. Not that umpires are doctors, but they are in control of the game. And if there's any question, someone like a Harry Mackay at the weekend, who he's passed his concussion test since, but just looked very proppy. Stop the game, send them off, get checked, come back on. It's quite simple. I'm all for this. We stop the game for some innocuous, ridiculous touched ball possibilities. This is a serious area.
But
concussion
does that make the team doctors look a bit ordinary?
No,
don't trust them?
No. You still. I think if you take, and here's the key to it: the assessment must be carried out by an independently appointed AFL doctor. The team doctors are there to still play their role. They're there. They're very important, and they're there to look at injuries and strains and make calls in that area.
Tell me why you think it has to be an independent doctor.
Oh, because it takes the pressure off club doctors. Now, whether you like it or not, Barra, there is a possibility that doctors will err on the side of the club winning, and I just think it takes the pressure away, takes the possibility away, and I think that's not a bad thing.
We'll get emails, mate.
That's fine.
Someone had a crack at me when I mentioned the Hippocratic Oath once.
Yeah, well, I'm just
you
saying.
Might get it because if you can't trust doctors,
it's not that I don't trust doctors. I think that we need independently appointed analysts to have a look at them, and then they can decide, and then the club doctors can get to work. But the club doctors are there for other areas as well. Your thigh strains, to assess knee injuries, etc., etc. I just think this is a very we're going forward in this area, and I think we need to go independent on it.
Are we getting to a stage where we may have to have players sign waivers?
Well,
I mean, you couldn't completely waive, but
Well, Barra, if they do make ultimately, if this helmet is successful and they make the helmet compulsory, you might have to sign a waiver if you don't want to wear it. But I think there will be clauses in contracts eventually about playing under duress, playing under concussion.
I think most players would sign a waiver, wouldn't they?
Times are changing, Barra. Times are changing.
Yeah, because there are natural risks in playing footy, aren't there?
It's a contact sport, so you accept that. But there are also, the Brad Shepherd case is going to be fascinating because he's not only suing the AFL, but he's also suing the club doctors. So
and they are They are flat about
And
that.
Daniel Venables.
The blokes themselves.
I'm
not going to name them. I know them both really well.
Yeah. And
they are flat.
And I'm not questioning those doctors. I've highly credible people. But it's a really interesting case. Dan Venables is the same. And there's 60 of them in Melbourne, ready to go. So,
you know what I want to say about that? So Simo pulls the pin, or gets the lemon, and they had the big send-off game. He goes out, tosses the coin, does that funny stunt where he flicks it on the ground.
The fake coin toss, yeah.
And then he goes back, and there was a wonderful, ovation by the crowd and reception, and then he goes back to the Eagles box, and everyone's in there. All the 2018 blokes, they've flown Willie Rioli over, all the rest of it. We've spoken about that. And even the guys who missed the grand final, when I say even, Nick Nat and Gaffey and all that. But one bloke not there.
Who was that?
Have a guess.
Oh,
like you just mentioned.
Brad Shepherd?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this is where you get to, isn't it, if you go down those paths. I don't know what the reason was. Maybe he had something else on, but he wasn't there.
Maybe he was at the ground elsewhere.
He wasn't there.
Okay.
It wasn't, mate. They were having a friggin' reunion of the 2018 team for Simo. Yeah, and there was one bloke missing. So I don't know if he's been forced into that situation or what's happened, but it's made it bloody tricky. You know what I mean?
Mate, let's pick some winners. But first, let's go to our great mate, David Shortte from TABtouch for some odds.
Shorty's tips.
Mate, the Western Bulldogs look a different team with Rory Lobb in that back half.
Unbelievable, isn't it? The move down back's been good for the big man. They've been in hot form. They've won 4 of their last 5 now. They were awesome last week against the Cats. They're into $1.65 to make the top 8 and $17 to win the flag.
Now, I saw it was Essendon live last Friday night, and you got to feel disappointed for their fans. They just let that one go.
It's not new, is it? Essendon in recent seasons have certainly found ways to cough games up, and they've now lost 3 of their last 4. That was average against Adelaide. They're out to $2.15 to make the top 8 and $51 to win the flag. They're up against it.
And who's your hot punt for the week?
I'm going to team up with Carlton in Friday night footy, Geelong, Freo and Collingwood. That's $2.63. We got a good result last week. Hopefully something similar this time round.
And Melbourne, another bad loss, this time on the road to the Dockers.
Indeed, yeah, they're on the drift, and they're on the drift this week for the second week in a row. They're easy to back. They've drifted from $1.80 out to $1.88. Taking on GWS, I thought the Giants looked pretty good value this time round. Could be a second week in a row for the Demons on the drift and not able to get the 4 points.
And might be my favourite player in the competition right now, Josh Tracy. He's your player to watch.
Indeed, Cyclone Tracy, the Freo big man. He's had a stellar season, kicking 39 goals. He's been a wonderful target inside forward, 50 for Freo. He's $2.20 to kick 3 or more goals against West Coast this weekend. I thought that looked a solid bet.
Sure does. Thanks, Shorty.
All the best, Quarters.
All right,
Carlton, Port Adelaide tomorrow
Friday night, Marvel Stadium, 5:40 p.m. Carlton $1.48, Port Adelaide $2.65. Tom De Koning out for the rest of the season, so Mark Pitney will take over the ruck. Akers, McGovern, Fantasia possibilities. Carlton going along beautifully at Marvel Stadium, Barra, averaging 107.8 points, ranked number 1 in the AFL at that competition. Port Adelaide, you don't know what to make of them. They're up one week, they're down the next. This is a road trip. I'm picking Carlton. You?
Yeah, I'm picking Carlton, and you mentioned Harry Mackay, cleared of concussion. So he is playing.
Yeah.
And you said Akers and Walsh, 5-day turnaround. They'll be sore. Gee, Walsh is a good player. Rosie is sore as well, but we're going the Blues.
A tip that concerns me greatly, this one, Blundstone Arena, Saturday, 11:45 a.m. Geelong, $1.26 v North Melbourne, $3.90. Geelong is averaging 118.2 points in its last 5 matches against the Kangaroos, the most by any team against its round 20 opponents, but North in pretty good form. Barra, I'm really tempted to tip him, but I can't. I'm picking Geelong, still with that top 4 spot in its sight. So Geelong for me. You?
Geez, they looked good against Carlton, didn't they? And they're going to crack a win here somewhere. Sheasel was unbelievable.
Phil, 1 quarter and a couple of dodgy umpiring decisions short of winning that game.
And what does Chris Scott do? I've heard that Taylor Bruin has been killing it in the VFL. Remember Reece Stanley?
I do.
He's been missing too.
Yeah.
He had 47 hitouts. So, but yeah, I guess the $4 the Kangas and the Cats are $1.25. But surely, mate, the North are just coming, aren't they?
Yeah, different game down in
This could be a
Tassie too.
boil over.
Absolutely. That's what I said I was worried about.
I think I'll go North Melbourne.
Oh, yeah.
Because I wasn't impressed with Geelong.
Okay.
I mean, you wouldn't have been impressed with Geelong in the
Well,
weekend.
you need to get some back, so you've got to be brave.
Yeah, but they got pumped by the Bullies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. But they're up and down. I can't pick against them yet. I'm going Geelong, but I'm nervous about it. Saturday, 2:35 p.m, People First Stadium, let's call it Carrara. The Suns, $2.20. Brisbane, $1.68. Brisbane, 7 in a row. The Suns have not lost one at home, but have not won one away. Witt's a question mark. He's key to them. Brisbane Barra. Harris Andrews out under concussion protocols. Ooh. So they are. There's even talk. There's even talk at the Lions that they're going to move Hipwood in defence because they're a bit short down there, and the Suns are going to go super tall. So I'm going to pick the Suns to actually stop the Brisbane run and win this game. I'm pretty confident in their form at home.
Boil over.
Even though it's the Q clash, but
you're tipping a boil over.
I am tipping a boil over.
Harris Andrews, that would add to that.
Yes,
but I feels like Witts is going to come back and go bang. So I'm going to stay. Nah, you know what? Witts. I'm going to stay. It just gets natural, isn't it?
Yeah.
F-wit. F-wit. Yeah. He must get that a lot, does he?
Don't know,
If you were bagging him,
I wouldn't because I've interviewed him. He's a very intelligent bloke and a ripping
He's
footballer.
not an F-wit.
No, he's no. Anything but. So who are you picking?
That'll get edited for sure. You know what? I think the Lions will keep on keeping on because it's just too important to them now.
Okay. Saturday, 2:35 p.m, Marvel Stadium. St Kilda, $2.05. Essendon, $1.77. Bad luck to St Kilda's Liam Henry, who's out for the season with an MCL. Impressive win over West Coast last week. Just clearances and insides 50s. It was just waiting for the floodgates to open, and it eventually happened. Membry got amongst the goals with 5. But playing and... Conversely, Essendon on the Friday night, I was at that game. They were in control with 5 minutes to go, and Adelaide just went bang, bang, bang. So it was just really poor. I'm going to pick the Bombers. I think even though it's a flip of the coin game, they've got to find a way to win because they'll be out of the 8 if they don't. And
I reckon you're right. Based on dropping that game, I'm tipping them too. Speaking of dropping that game, they dropped Peter Wright as well for that. I wonder if they'll bring him back.
They made a couple of changes actually, and for the most part, they looked okay, but that was a really bad way to finish that game. And the one thing I say about Essendon is they've got some great players, Zach Merritt, etc., Nick Martin at half-back, but their kicking is the big area and the defence across the ground, and it caught them out late.
Yeah, and you know, Saints will think they're world beaters, but they only beat West Coast.
Yep.
And some of the coaching, I was listening to Peter Sumich today. He was talking about how Hutchinson and Jack Williams got left forward basically on their own, battling 3 blokes.
Yep.
And they pushed Oscar Allen back, and he was absolutely staggered that they left the young blokes up there. And I'm not saying it's Scoey's fault or anyone, or it's a hangover from Simo coaching or whatever, but that I was staggered that they pushed Oscar Allen
Jack
back.
Williams kicked 3 goals from limited opportunities. He's a good player.
But
Got to learn his craft somehow.
There was no tackles in the 450.
I know, mate.
They're like, hello, never, ever happened. Has that ever happened before? I don't think. Never heard of that happening. Have you ever heard of that happening?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. So I'm going to go the Bombers too, mate.
Okay. Saturday, 5:30 p.m, MCG, Melbourne, $1.88, Giants, $1.92. Max Gawn a test. He may come back from that ankle injury. Out, Christian Salem with a hammy, and our own WA boy, Tholstrop, out under the concussion protocols. Giants, Cornelio could come back in. He'll have a test on his shoulder, and also Sam Taylor is a test as well. Have found form at the right time. Melbourne smashed at clearance by Freo last week.
See the first quarter?
Devoid of confidence at the moment, Barra. I'm picking the Giants to win this.
At the MCG?
At the MCG.
In Melbourne's last roll of the dice?
It is indeed.
Whoa. And with Maxi Gawn probably back. But it's huge that Cornelio and Taylor might both play. This will come down a bit to selection for me, so we'll find out tonight.
So who are you picking?
But, mate...
You've got to pick someone now.
Surely they're super embarrassed. You know, it's first quarter, 14-0 clearances. 14-0. Viney.
I saw it on
the
your
midfielders.
Barra and Cousins show last night. I saw that.
Well, you name the midfielders.
Well, Trent Rivers, who I like.
Rivers.
Viney.
Well,
there's no Petrarca
Neil
anymore.
Bullen.
Yeah.
Neil Bullen.
All very good players.
And Oliver.
Yeah.
And
All
none
very
of them
good
in the
players.
first quarter, none of them could get a
Does
clearance.
it say more about Freo or less about Melbourne? Freo, well, I've got some stats on that in a moment.
But surely how could those blokes not get? I was talking
Couldn't
to Ben.
agree more.
Okay, I'm going to get done now by that bloke who sent the email. But I was talking to Ben about it. Right. So they had the greatest midfield of all time. Apart from maybe the Lions, do you reckon when they won the three-peat?
Greatest greatest midfield of all time is a big call. But you're talking about Melbourne.
Hello?
You're talking about Melbourne.
Is he still on? Is his mic on? What?
Who are you talking about, Melbourne?
No, the Eagles, you nufty.
Oh, sorry.
Cox,
Okay.
Kerr, Judd and Cousins.
Okay, now...
Oh,
okay.
phew, I thought you were saying they weren't contenders.
One of them.
Yeah, along with Brisbane, right?
Yeah, Brisbane will be up there, yeah.
Brisbane will be up there.
Yeah.
Brisbane will be up there.
Some other good
So
midfields
three Brownlow
through the
medalists.
eras.
Three Brownlow medalists.
Richmond had a very good midfield, you know.
Mate, three Brownlow medalists in the Brisbane one. Voss, Acker, and they had Lappin as well, and Black.
Yeah, it's a great midfield.
Up there.
Hawthorn had a good midfield
Okay,
in the
what was
70s and
theirs?
80s too.
What was theirs?
Well, you had Matthews, Tuck, Scott. It's a pretty good midfield.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it is.
But okay, so we're arguing about semantics. So,
We are.
so we are. You agree that
Paul Burke, you know, Richmond had some good players too in the Ian Stewart. But anyway,
mate,
we're
all
talking
the
semantics.
young blokes have just tuned out because they haven't got a clue who you're talking
Well, I'm
about.
on a history lesson, mate. I'm trying to educate
Well, we're
them.
talking over 50s, all right? So the over 50s, they would know.
Have you?
So I'm talking about that midfield, right? And I said to Cousins, can I finish the story? So I said to Cousins, mate, did
Make it quick.
you ever go 14-0 in the first quarter in clearances? Never. They had Cox in the ruck. They had Judd sitting over there. They had Cuzzy on the left, and they had Kerr doing the sweeper. Never went 14-0. So it's
Not surprised.
that is one of the great balls ups.
It
of all
is.
time. So they'll fire back.
So who are you picking?
I'll go Giants.
Optus Stadium, Saturday, 6:10 p.m. The Fremantle Dockers $1.11. West Coast Eagles $6.50. And as you said, last round was the first time on record that West Coast has failed to lay a forward 50 tackle in a match. The Eagles have conceded 15 goals from 50-metre penalties, 3 more than any other team. That's too many, mate. Remember the last time they met, Barra? Harley Reid finished with 19 disposals, 13 contested possessions, 7 clearances as a season-high, 3 goals in round 6. I'm tipping he won't do that again. Waterman may come in for his 100th game. McGovern, I'm not sure about. Ribs, Yo, I'm not sure about. Flynn may come in. Duggan Wayne, he'll be another week in the concussion protocols. And, of course, for Fremantle, their captain, Alex Pearce, is out with that arm injury. You'd expect Draper to come in for him. Mm-hmm. And a couple of matchups here.
They've done well with Draper, haven't they? Bringing him up early doors and Hugh as well. But having him there for Pearce again, it's been bloody handy.
So the only good thing, I suppose, that came out of last week's game was the form of Jaden Hunt and Reuben Ginbey for the Eagles. They were very good. Matchups, I would say Barrass probably gets Tracy. Agree?
Yeah, well, does he take Amos closer to goal? I don't know.
Maybe Edwards could do that.
Edwards has got his work cut out for him.
McGovern will play his...
And the forward line as well. That's the other side of it. The Dockers forward line, who the defenders are going to go to in terms of Rotham. Does Rotham get Jackson?
Possibly.
Oh, can you imagine? How much higher would he be given away as well?
Yeah, he'd be given away.
Maybe Rotham has to play on Tracy. Have you got that siren? You will need the friggin' cyclone warning.
Let's go for one.
Have we got it, yeah?
This
Josh.
is an important cyclone warning announcement.
We got the matchups here, mate. It's going to be Barrass on Amos. Jackson,
I'm not sure if Barrass doesn't go to Tracy.
All right. No.
I reckon he's one of the form players in the competition
See that? He
now.
just killed my piece of radio. Did you see that? He just killed my podcast bit of radio. Because I was about to say, Josh, so just pretend it happens this way, okay?
Okay.
Now go rewind. So, Tommy, you've got Amos. Good on you, mate. It's close to goal. You're doing a great job. We heard you might be leaving, but just give us a few more games. Edwards, you go over, pick up friggin' the ruckman because you're taller. And Joshy Rotham, Joshy, you've got hit it, boys.
This is an important cyclone warning announcement.
Hey, imagine.
Good luck, Josh. Good luck with that one.
And just try to get in front of him. Bullshit.
Well, you got to do your best,
Mate,
mate.
he would, mate, that is, man, if they win, it'll be.
So, Fremantle for me. Give us a margin.
Feels like 6 goals at least, doesn't it? And I can't see Harley. And the ruck is going to be the big thing, isn't it? I mean, the Williams brothers, they're going to go up against the two giants. What's going to happen there?
Okay, give us a Glendenning Allen medalist as well.
Yeah, so it's either going to be Sarong or Brayshaw, isn't it?
So pick one.
I reckon, or maybe Young. Are you voting? Who's voting?
I'm not voting.
I heard you were voting.
No one's
Haven't
told me.
you been told?
No one's told me.
Would you like to vote?
I don't mind, but I haven't been told.
Then you have to get real nervous and
So
stressed.
I can't give you a pick now. So I haven't been told. I'm not voting, I'm telling you. So I'll give you mine. I'm going to go with Jeremy Sharp out on that win.
Jeremy Sharp.
I am.
No,
Okay.
he's not going to win it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to either be Dogger, it's going to be Darcy, it's going to be Tracy,
Or Brayshaw.
or it's going to be Brayshaw
Okay.
or Sarong. I'll go Sarong because he's won. If he wins it, he's won a heap.
Okay, don't let anyone say we don't mention Jeremy Sharp on this podcast. Okay, MCG Sunday 11:10 a.m. We'll get through these quickly. Collingwood $1.27, Richmond $3.80, Schultz a chance, and Dusty a chance for Richmond. Dusty comes back in. I think about swinging the other way, but if you know what I mean, Barra. But Collingwood for me, even though they were very poor against Hawthorn last week, I saw the last 10 minutes of that game live, by the way, but Collingwood for me to bounce back, they have to.
You've always talked about changing teams.
I have.
Whole new world on the other
Yeah.
side. That's the way you said
Yeah.
to me. Lockie Schultz. Did you mention him?
Yep.
Yeah, that'll be a big in. And McCreary.
What about Dusty for Richmond? Could be the last time.
Yeah,
he
but he's
plays
going to
him.
be underdone, isn't he? Toby Nankervis.
But with the
gone.
Richmond competitive sniff of victory, Dusty maybe his last chance to win a game for Richmond at the G.
Surely this is the Pies' last roll of the dice.
It is.
Again, they go to the well one more time.
I think they're done.
You do? I'll go the Pies. You go the Tigers.
No, I've gone Pies. I didn't say the
okay.
Tigers.
Oh, right,
I'm going
right,
the Pies. Okay, last game of the round. Adelaide Oval, Sunday, 2:10 p.m. Adelaide $1.90. Hawthorn $1.90. Hawthorn, however, has lost 7 of its last 9 matches at Adelaide Oval by a margin of 23 points. They don't like playing there. However, Adelaide, after last week's win over Essendon, missing Butts in defence, big out. But the biggest out of all, Jordan Dawson with concussion. My boys rolling along beautifully at the moment.
this
And
will
I
be
think
good.
their
This will be good.
confidence, I'm picking them. The confidence
You're
is
picking 'em,
sky
are
high.
you?
I am, mate. I'm picking them.
All right, I'm picking them too then, just based on that you're picking them. Because that's a toss of the coin. And no Dawson, no Crows.
That's right, exactly. Now it's time for this.
Saddle up your camel. It's time for the Thirsty Camel mailbag.
We got there somehow. Thank you to Thirsty Camel. Shop the way you want, online and in-store. Look out for specials. There's convenience and great value every day. Head to the website or download the Thirsty Camel app today. This week's special, Jack Daniel's 700ml, only $52.99. We are going to give away, Barra, a $50 gift voucher thanks to Thirsty Camel. We will be in touch with the winner, so you don't have to send us your details. Get your questions in for next week to quartersandbarra at wanews.com.au. G'day, boys. While I'm not sure about Darcy Moore and his, I've got to look at this word, heteronormative learned patriarch behaviours, that was...
So let me explain that. So,
Okay.
So his partner and him are now living in separate houses, and the reason she described it was that so they could have separate lives, and she used that expression.
Okay.
And it basically means that she didn't want to get into a domesticated situation where and she's basically saying that women end up cooking and cleaning and stuff like that, and her career gets put on the wayside. His is more important. She didn't want to get into that scenario.
I think what Craig's, the gist of this email is that he just needs to focus a bit more on what's happening on the field. Don't worry about all that stuff.
Well, maybe that's part of the problem, is it? I don't know.
Boys, John Longmire would have to be the target for the Eagles. He is a proven coach, gets the best out of his players, could bring some players with him, been with Sydney for a long time, and is soon to be unemployed. Not sure about that. Cheers and beers. That's Mac, a passionate Eagles supporter. And he says, hope the Dockers go all the way and love our game. That's very nice from you, Clint. Wishing the Dockers all the best. You're an Eagles fan. I'm going to put him at the top of the list for that. You don't hear that often, do you?
No, you're right. Hey, mate, there's been some breaking news here.
Yeah, what's the
How's
breaking
this?
news?
The AFL has advised that Giants player Tom Green has been formally reprimanded for excessive, unfair or unreasonable public comment and criticism in relation to, we've got to be careful, mate, comments he made on his podcast In the Green Room.
About what?
During the podcast, in which the comments have now since been removed, he made a number of comments in relation to the AFL match review officer and the tribunal process and members. These included the following words or similar: that the match review officer or the AFL tribunal is a disgrace and is ruining the game. Green was sent a please explain and has unreservedly apologised for the comments and acknowledged poor judgment on his behalf being an AFL player, with his actions falling below the standards of conduct expected by the Giants and the AFL. Green has been given a formal reprimand without any further sanctions.
Well, we want players to have their say, don't we? We don't want robots, but that is pretty strong language, mate. But we're allowed to. We're not AFL players. Hello, boys. Seems my old email a couple of weeks ago got under Barra's skin as he brought up not being funny enough and telling too many stories about 10 times. For the record, I'm a 31-year-old Freo fan and don't mind the gold stories about the Eagles. It's more the waffling and going on tangents that gets my goat. Well, I'm sorry, but that's podcasting. Anyway, come on, lads. Let Freo have their time and stop trying to make the Eagles relevant. Looking forward to finals so we can finally give it a break. That's from Matty A. Well, yes, you will probably be playing finals and the Eagles won't, so we'll do our best. Dear Barra and Quarters, one of the worst jobs in Perth must be as a Trans-Perth scheduler in the depths of winter. The AFL cynically dropped the Coast to Coast Classic game in round 21 for next Friday night to eye-gouge the NRL, who had already scheduled a game in Perth at exactly the same time, creating public transport chaos. Fair point. Right? Well, so you got the Dolphins and the Roosters head-to-head. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, as soon as the AFL, the Dolphins-Roosters game came out a long time before the AFL put their schedule out.
Wow.
Because remember, they held off the last 6 rounds. It is consistent with the AFL taking match-going members and fans for granted. Well, here's a memo to the AFL. The fans create the atmosphere, which creates the spectacle, which creates the product, which creates the revenue for you silver cats in AFL House. Remember the lessons of COVID, that empty stadiums kill the game, and sooner or later we may all choose to stay in and wash our hair rather than make the effort to attend poorly scheduled games such as this in Perth. The only bright side is that the whole of the Gold Coast membership only need a minibus to get to the game. That's signed Peter Finch, mad as hell, from Hammond Park. It's not actually. There are other people who probably don't want their names read out, but that is going to the top of the list. I love that email.
Pretty good.
That's top of the list.
Broke some news there. I didn't know.
Oh, here we go. Hey, gents. How is Jeremy Sharp constantly being left out of best recruits of the season articles and discussions? Doctors got him for nothing. He's filled that wing position perfectly. And despite having some down games recently, if you look at his season as a whole, he's given Freo exactly what they needed. That's Damo. Good email, Damo. He's been fantastic this year. Covered 16 Ks in one game. He regularly covers 14 plus. So I think they've really found one there. I think he's going to be a long-term player and a very good footballer.
And you've got him winning the Glendenning medal on Saturday night.
Allen medal on Saturday night.
Oh, sorry.
A couple more and then we'll go. Get out of your hair. Hello, grasshoppers. Folklore has it that a big beer company from Durban, South Africa has tried to sell their brew in our great state at the turn of the 20th century, soon after foundation. Their ships docked in Fremantle and needing a marketing splash, they started looking towards a local sporting event for their Durban beer. The fierce football matches between East and South Fremantle seemed like the perfect fit. So the story goes, the two port clubs battled it out for the Derby trophy, with Derby pronounced like Durban, and thus a tradition was born. I heard this was true, but cannot find it anywhere on the net. Can you please confirm? Cole from Freo, or Master Poe, he calls himself. So it was actually another email about the Derby v Derby, as it's called everywhere else in the world. It took me a couple of years after I moved here, Barra, to get my head around it, but we'll follow that one up.
I love that bloke because he's obviously our generation because he's talking about Kung Fu and David Carradine and Grasshopper.
Yes.
And, hey, Grasshopper. Did you used to watch that?
When you become a man, take this rock from my hand, and you will be a man.
Didn't there used to be cards as well, Kung Fu cards?
Yeah, there was.
I think he's about to do a picture of him.
So I'm going to go for Peter Finch, mad as hell. You know who you are. We've got your details. We will be in contact with you. I reckon that's a great email. You fair with that?
I agree. Just before you close, you know the one about Jeremy Sharp?
Yes.
So would you say Ben Mackay is a bigger recruit this year?
Oh, different player, though. He's in the Essendon defence.
Mate, you're on the Recruit of the Year panel.
Is Jack Ginnivan a better recruit?
Yeah, well, I was about to say that. So you've got Mackay, Ginnivan, Grundy.
Oh, I'm going Grundy.
So those three are all ahead of Sharpie?
No, I'm not saying all ahead.
Mate, you're on the Okay, you're the judge.
Okay,
you're the man. Okay, put the judge hat on.
Righto. So
okay,
I'm going,
so who's the recruit of the year?
Grundy, 1.
Wait on. Zirk Thatcher?
No.
No, I got him out. Okay, so who's 1? Grundy?
Yep, Grundy's 1.
Mackay?
Mackay's 2. Sharp is 3.
Ginnivan 4.
Ginnivan 4.
And Zirk Thatcher 5.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Judge.
Who'd we miss?
I
Anyone?
don't know. What's your song for the Eagles, mate?
You have been listening to Quarters and Barra. We've been brought to you by TABtouch. Got the touch? Download the TABtouch today. Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Good luck, Barra.
See you,
Good
buddy.
luck, listeners. Thank you for bearing with us. We'll talk to you on Tuesday.